Not everyone can afford big bucks on the best product on the market, so in today's video we'll show you some of the best budget options in the business which you can be satisfied with. Go to the description to know the latest prices and information. Best overall, Xiaomi Poco X4 Pro. This brand has released the same phone twice. Its core component and softwares are identical to the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G, and its designs are similar. Once again, you get an excellent 120Hz and OLED display, a competent Snapdragon 695 processor, and an eye-catching 1080 megapixel primary camera. You can also count on its bundled 67-watt charger to get the phone's sizable 5000 mAh cell up to full capacity in just 41 minutes. While the phone's body is made of matte plastics, the rear is made of glass, resulting in pleasingly solid feelings. It wouldn't go so far as a premium feel, but it certainly feels pretty good. Poco has given its phones a flat display, as you'd expect for this amount. It's coated in Gorilla Glass 5 and an IP53 rating ensures a certain degree of dust and water resistance. The most impressive component is its 6.67 AMOLED display, which features a 2400 by 1080 Full HD Plus resolution and a flagship-smooth 120Hz refresh rate. It runs on Qualcomm Snapdragon 695 5G and is backed by either 6GB or 8GB of RAM, depending on your region. Here in the UK, it's the latter. As hardware setups go, it isn't tearing up any trees, but it's perfectly adequate for the price. It's a modest bump over the Snapdragon 732G of the Poco X3 NFC, if not the blazing fast Snapdragon 860 of the Poco X3 Pro. This is another very good affordable phone from the Xiaomi sub-brand. It isn't an absolute performance powerhouse with the OnePlus Nord CE2 providing faster silicon for the same money. Still, there's a lot to like elsewhere. Best value, Motorola Moto G62. This is the same as the low-priced phones because they are cheap. You save money by sacrificing the performance, camera quality, and fast chargings. What you do gain from the Moto brand though is a solid plastic build quality that also surpasses other phones at this price range. A clean version of Android 12, with changes only made to Moto, can improve, not to add things for the sake of it. This is one of the best budget phones you can get, despite having an LCD rather than an OLED panel. A superb always-on display lets you quickly view and open the notifications with no other phone brand has. If the performance occasionally stutters, you can forgive it for how attractive the phone's software looks. It's a great alternative to Xiaomi's cluttered UI, despite the strength of the brand's budget phone. Triple camera on the back of the Moto G62 exists as well, but it's a push to call them all good thankfully. The 50 megapixel main sensor is solid and will give you excellent daytime shots. Pair that with the great battery life from the 5000 mAh cell that this sometimes found reached into the end of the day at just 50%. And as such, you have a great cheap phone option. Best camera, Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro. This model is much like the many other phones these days regarding design, and this is quite plain looking for the Pro model. However, you can get it in a more exciting glacier blue, gradient bronze colorways. It's a pretty big phone but nothing unusual and remains at just 8.1mm thick. This has to be a standout feature of the design here, as even it has two levels. Xiaomi only mentions that the front is Corning Gorilla Glass 5. As such, the back is plastic. However, the phone still has an IP53 rating protecting it from splashes of water. There's also a clear silicone case in the box for extra protection. Note that the phone isn't set to the 120Hz by default, so it's worth turning this on in the setting for a much smoother experience. Bezels around the displays aren't the smallest, but this is a mid-range device, so you can only expect so much. This has a great 1080 megapixel camera for its main sensor. This is backed up by an 8 megapixel ultra-wide, 5 megapixel telemacro, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Considering the last one is a sensor, it's a triple setup, but an impressive one. The main sensor is huge and has an aperture of f/1.9. Of course, you won't need to take pictures in full resolutions very often, but you can if you need. Normally though, this uses a 9-in-1 pixel binnings technology, which the brand says combined with the dual native ISO technologies and a 2.1 micrometer superpixel results in stunning detail and higher dynamic range. There are also smaller delights including a headphone jack, ARC fingerprint scanner, stereo speakers, and an IR blaster. Battery life is also strong and also includes the 33-watt charger in the box. Core specs are decent, hinging on the Snapdragon 732G to ensure smooth performance. However, this doesn't support 5G, which might be a deal breaker. Best design, Realme C35. The folks at this brand pulled it out of the bag with the designs of the C35, a phone that looks like it costs a lot more as well. With the flat sides taken straight from the latest iPhone playbook, and an intelligent-looking camera module akin to the more expensive OnePlus Nord phones, the C35 also packs a great 1080p display for the incredibly low price. You can even pay extra amount to get a 128GB storage instead of the 64GB, and all the models have a microSD slot and a 3.5mm headphone jack. The processor is nothing, and not that great, but the 50 megapixel main camera lens is pretty good on a phone that can outperform its asking price. Best battery, Oppo X4 5G. This is a budget handset that manages to excel in the multiple areas with an attractive design. 5G, a 48 megapixel quad camera, and a massive 5000 mAh battery that can outshine even some of the most expensive phone on the market as well. It's not without faults, of course, though the battery life is pretty excellent and the 10-watt charging is quite glacial in this day and age. Though the night modes on the camera are just as stellar, the user experience of taking photos really needs refining to be quite simple and cleaner. For the price points, however, you're getting a solid camera phone that feels high-end, and a device that won't die on you that quickly. For these reasons only, we definitely say that the A54 5G is a budget contender.
Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, then hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you loved it. Take a moment to hit the bell icon so you'll get notified of all our latest uploads.